we can come and we can learn about our mental and emotional health. God, we know that your spirit lives within us, dear God, and that allows us to live in more mental and emotional harmony. And I pray, God, that you would allow us to embrace your gift of the Holy Spirit. I pray for each lady here today. I pray, Lord, that you will be with them. God, you know all their cares and their concerns. You know everything about them, dear Father. And I just pray that you will just minister to every need. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right. So we are on our third week, believe it or not. So we've been talking about emotional health. What have we talked about so far? We've been here every week. Karen, perfect attendance so far. I gotta give you a gift if you keep coming. What
Trying
have
to deal with it,
Huh?
trying to deal with it, talk it out.
Yeah, talk it out. What else? What else?
How you had the plaques? The be strong,
Right.
be humble.
Mm-hmm.
Last week was a blur, sorry.
Yeah, you were out of it last week. What else? What is emotional health?
Trying to control your emotions and
The ability to think clearly even though you're going through emotional turmoil.
That's right, the ability, I like that, the ability to think clearly. And we talked about our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. That's really how our emotional health operates. It goes from our mind, what we think about. Based on what we think, we feel a certain way. So our thoughts drive our feelings, or our emotions, and then based on how we feel, then we act. So if you have a happy thought, like if you're thinking, oh man, I can't wait to go home, I'm gonna have me a nice bubble bath, light some candles, listen to some nice music, and you feel relaxed and you feel happy, right? And you may start smiling and we'll be like, Lena, what's going on? Why are you smiling? Because she's smiling because she's having these thoughts. These thoughts make her feel a certain way, and then she's acting a certain way. She's smiling, right? You
And
see?
then you go home and both bathrooms are full and you're like, and then you get disappointed, you know?
Right. You
That's
go
kinda how
home
I
and then,
Yeah.
you know, thank you.
Mhm.
If you go home and the bathrooms are occupied and somebody done used the last candle that you had and your kids took all your bubble bath and made the bubble thing,
I'm dying.
then, that's okay, Miss Linda. Then you'll be disappointed and upset,
So you redirect, how do you?
right? And so you'll go from smiling to what?
Where are you gonna
To,
sit,
to,
Miss Linda?
to
Over
a
here?
feeling of defeat, I guess.
Where are you gonna sit?
And unless you,
Okay.
unless you learn how to catch your thoughts and redirect them and find another positive way to counteract the negativity that you walked into.
Right, because you can just get angry right away, like you're thinking, what the heck? You know, I was looking forward to taking me a nice bubble bath. And you can really go into another state. But you say, nope, I am going to so in order for you not to go into a state of anger, maybe start, telling people off, gotta think, okay? Talk to yourself, it's okay. It's okay, I'm gonna remain calm. I'll just wait until someone is finished, or I'll just do it tomorrow. You have to be constantly talking to yourself. You gotta be constantly assessing your emotions.
That's where coping skills come in.
Mhm. And what does that mean? In order for you to be constantly assessing your emotions, your actions, your thoughts, what do you have to do? You have to be present. You have to be present with yourself. A lot of us, we're not present. We just mindlessly do things. We just do things. We just and then we have so many routines that we just get up and we just do things because we've been doing them all our lives. I feel, and this scares me sometimes. Sometimes I'm in my car and I don't know how I get where I get.
I've done that.
Because I'm so used to, or sometimes it's like my car go a certain way where I wasn't going that day, because I go different directions every day. But there are times where my car just go a certain direction, and I'm like, why am I going here? This is not where I'm supposed to go today. But why is that? Because I'm mindlessly driving. I'm not paying attention, and we mindlessly do things. Like, you can get up, go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, and don't even remember. You know that you did because your mouth feels fresh. If you go to your bathroom and check your toothbrush, it's wet, so you know I must have done it, but I don't remember doing it. Do anybody, am I the only one that experiences it?
I think when I'm stressed, when I'm under a lot of stress, I think that happens more.
Yeah, well, a lot of times it's caused by stress. It's caused by, we're so stressed and busy doing things that we just mindlessly go about doing things because we don't have the time, or we don't give ourselves the time.
To sit down and do each individual task.
Yeah, I'm
Take
not
the
just
medicine.
sit there, but just be present. Just be present. Just be thinking about what you're doing.
I've gotten on a rant, but I don't remember getting on the rant,
Mhm.
because there's other things on my mind. I'm driving the way I'm supposed to, but it's like, I don't remember getting on that rant.
Do you ever go into a room and like, what did I come for? Did I come in here? Right? And
You'd be like, did I do that?
yeah. And what it is because we are not present.
Goes fire long
And in order for us to be able to constantly monitor our emotions, keep our emotional health in check, we have to be present. And I know for us as women it's bad because we're what? What do we pride ourselves in doing?
Everything.
Multitasking, right? We love multitasking, talking on the phone, feeding the baby, stirring the pot, right?
And never let him forget he's a man. He used to have a commercial.
Right, we pride ourselves in multitasking. But I don't know about you, but I have come to the point where I got so many half tasks done, like you just feel like you're doing absolutely nothing because you have this that you started over here that's not done, this over here, this over there, this over here, and you just feel so defeated that you're like, okay, I just need to finish one thing. And this morning,
That's part of it.
I said to myself, I put I started doing laundry yesterday, and I was like, okay, I hate folding laundry. I don't mind putting them in the washer, but I hate folding clothes and I hate packing them away. But this morning I said, you know what? At least this load of laundry, the one that's dry, I'm going to take them out and I'm going to at least fold them and put them in the basket. I did. And and that's a victory right there. And it didn't really take a long time. It didn't take a long time. But sometimes I feel, oh, I got something more important to do. But the thing is that that's still taking up head space in my head, because it's like, oh, I go home and there's this basket with the clothes just thrown in there, and then you know what happens by the time when you put them away, stuff that, like your jeans and stuff that would have probably stayed wrinkle free if you put them on the hanger right away, they're all wrinkled, and that gives you extra work because now you have to iron it in order to put it
I can
on.
draw a little soup, a little water.
Right? So it just gets worse and worse because, all because we're not present.
How do you
And
fix it though? What's the fix?
what's the fix?
How do you get yourself to become present all the time?
Well,
Separate your thought from your emotional feeling. How do you do that?
well, I mean, we're not gonna be able to all the time, but we need to do it more often than we're doing it, especially in the areas where we're struggling. So, like I say, I mean, there are things that we do every day that are routine. You know, we get up, we brush our teeth, with Lena, you have a young baby, so you have your routine where you get up, get the baby, change the baby, feed the baby, all that stuff is routine. But a good time to really check what you're doing is when you are expressing, when you're feeling negative emotions and when you are expressing negative behavior. That's a good time. So instead of like, oh, I'm so angry, and you start saying why you're angry, because most of the time why you're saying you're angry is not really why you're angry, right? So, and the truth to that is sometimes you can be, I like to use driving. I think driving is like, you learn so many life lessons driving. So you can be driving and somebody cut you off, and fine, whatever, go on. And then there's another day when you're driving and somebody cut you off and you want to chase them down, or you want to give them the finger, or whatever. And why do you think that? If somebody does the same exact thing, and one day you can take it and another day you're ready to go get them, what do you think that is? What makes you do something like that?
Stress.
Stress, right? And so when we are stressed, what happened to our tolerance level?
Going down.
Right, our tolerance level, it goes down, right? We become more irritable, more impatient, because we are so stressed. You can't, like your kids calling you, what? Right? Whereas if you're not stressed and you're nice and calm, mommy, yes, honey.
Okay.
Right? Because you're not stressed out. You can tolerate. And the same kid can be like, mommy. Yes, honey. Mommy, can I go outside? No, you need to do your homework. Mommy.
Shut up.
But once your tolerance levels start going down and your irritability start going up, what? Sit up! And so we have to constantly, okay, why am I feeling this way? A lot of times it's stress. It's not that we can't cope with things. We can cope with a lot. I mean, we all do. We all cope with a lot of things. What it is how strong are you emotionally? That's how you know. And if you examine your own life experiences, I'm sure you can come up with scenarios where when you handle something really well, and then you can come up with a scenario where it's something that may be even less, devastating than another incident, but you just didn't handle it very well. And that comes because we're emotionally vulnerable. It's the same thing like, say, illness. Believe it or not. Like last year I took the flu shot. The flu shot, for the first time I took the flu shot. And I got so sick. And I said, I am not taking the flu shot this year. And on my job, they want you to take the flu shot because, you know, we're interacting with people all the time and so, but what I started doing already is I started building my immune system. So I started with my zinc, my my vitamin C, my my multivitamin. I'm building up my system so that when the flu comes around, I'm praying that my system will be strong enough. It's not that I'm not going to be exposed to the flu. I'm sure I will be because I'm interacting with people all the time. I'm working with kids with their nose and Michelle with their dirty hands. I'm not going to live like, oh, you can't touch me, but I'm working on building up my immune system so that when those viruses come, prayerfully I'm strong enough to resist it. The same thing we have to do emotionally. We have to build our emotional health up so that when somebody says something to you that you don't like, when somebody look at you the wrong way, when you have a problem, whatever something going on with your kids, something going on with your finances, it's not that it's a problem, you have to deal with it, but how can you deal with it in a healthy way? Right? So what are some of the things you do to keep you emotionally strong?
Pray.
Prayer is good. What else?
Stay away from people.
Stay away from people.
Negative.
Well, I wouldn't say stay away from people, but I would say stay away from negative people and keep company with positive people. Right? You stay away, so you stay away from people that drain you, and you hang around people that's gonna uplift you, who are gonna pour into you. That's gonna be a positive influence. I'm not one for don't do things. I'm a replacement person, right? If you're gonna stop doing something, you gotta start doing something, because I don't expect anybody to just sit in a corner and do absolutely nothing. And what happens if you decide, I'm going to stop doing this, if you don't replace that with a positive behavior, you're going to end up going right back to that.
And what happens if these people are family members?
It's okay.
You have to keep yourself away from family members.
No, I'm not saying that
If they
you...
drain you, if they're like the negative.
I mean, and with family members, it's hard. Like on Saturday, I was having a conversation with a family member, and we had a good conversation for probably 10 or 15 minutes. Very, healthy, purposeful conversation. But then it gets into this, something else. First of all, it's a story that I've heard like 1,000 times. Like, one of my cousins. I wouldn't even go there. Anyway, just say it's a conversation that was not healthy. And so what I did, I just stopped talking. I'm not going to entertain. So once I stopped talking, then she knows, well, because you have to have two people to have a conversation, right?
So you just blankly stare at her while she finishes the story?
No, I think the TV was on at the time. I may have had my computer or something, but my attention shifted. So you can tell when somebody is interested in talking to you. I mean, really, I could have been courageous enough and say, listen, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, see, that's the problem I'm having. Knowing how to exit the situation nicely.
Yeah, and sometimes you can just say, well, you know what, I have to go do so and so.
Without causing more arguments, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? How do you gracefully say to your mother or sister,
Yeah, okay.
all right, well, I gotta go do some laundry, something like that.
But yeah, I gotta
Just
go.
kinda
Yeah, I
exit.
gotta go. Say, oh, I mean, you got a good excuse. You drive for lift. Oh man, I got a ride. See ya. Maybe you could just go
Oh,
right
yeah, that
around
is,
the-
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you could always use your job and say, I got a ride. Gotta go.
Right.
But, that's one of the things, any bad habit that you have that's draining you emotionally, you wanna change, you wanna replace that with a healthy habit. So let's go. What's a habit that you have that drains you emotionally? Cause you to think bad, feel bad, and do bad. And it doesn't have to be like really bad, like cursing out your neighbors and things like that, but
She's so positive all the time.
okay, we're gonna come back to you. How about you, Miss Linda? Well, y'all are just wonderful. Okay, what about you, Debbie?
I usually have the first one off. I don't want at 5 a.m. And when I get up, I'm not. I mean, people who do dumb stuff, like leave the remote on the couch and just stuff that irritate me. You know, leave the coffee pot on and all. So I'll get up and start ranting. Can't even turn the coffee pot on. Why is the remote here? People are just idiots. They just don't get it. There's a place for everything. Yeah, I might start ranting. A little loud towards my sister's room because then she did it. And that kind of causes controversy later on in the day. Why were you complaining earlier? And then there's the argument. I started, so there goes my answer. I usually start because it irritates me.
Okay.
You know, like.
Why do you think it irritates you?
Because it's a messy. I get up, I straighten everything up at night. I don't like mess. I like things where they go, and they know this. But my other family members that I stay with are not like that. And it burns me up that people leave lights on all night, electric bill, coffee burnt in the bottom of the pot. I have to take the ice cubes and salt and get, you know, and I'm always the one picking and cleaning everything up after everybody, and I feel like a maid. So therefore, you know.
Do you have to, or you choose to?
I don't wanna live like that. I have to.
Okay, so what are your choices?
Walking past it and not saying nothing, but I can't.
So right there, you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice. Either you leave it because it's not your issue, or you just do it without complaining.
Then it
Those
goes,
are your
the
choices.
remote where it goes and you're looking on the cushions and the cat's where's the remote, you know? It's just dumb.
Yeah.
To
How
me.
about you, Crystal?
Anytime I talk to my older sister,
Mm-hmm.
because she never has anything nice to say because she just moved out.
Mm-hmm.
So she's realizing how hard it is to live on her own. So she's putting everybody else down because of her shortcomings with her job or whatever. So I just stopped talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped answering the phone.
Because she's draining you, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's emotionally draining you. Yeah. And sometimes you just have to do that. When people are draining you emotionally, you know, they're not positive. You know, like they have some people, you know, either they're always complaining, they're always talking about other people, just not uplifting. You gotta cut them off. I'm with you. I'm with you. And eventually she may realize, oh, Crystal is not talking to me. And then she may say, well, maybe you all will have a conversation one day. Crystal, what happened? Why you don't talk to me? Because every time I talk to you, I feel drained. I can't do it. So if you want to talk to me, you're going to have some more positive conversation. If not, we can't talk. Good for you. You know?
Last night I was tired of dealing with the kids all day, and what advice you should probably never text on the phone when you're tired of dealing with the kids all day, because Julius texted me something and I thought he was saying something else, so I went off on him on text, but if I wasn't tired and I wasn't like annoyed dealing with the kids all day, I wouldn't have said that, and we wouldn't have gotten to that. So yeah, don't text while you're annoyed at life. Just because texting.
Don't hit send.
Yeah. Because it's text that you don't understand, like the concepts. concept or whatever they're saying or whatever. Okay, and just dealing with my stepmother's boyfriend. Okay. I don't really do. I just put a wall up. And like she was telling me last night, he's like, you ignore him. He's saying you're rude. I'm like, look, when he's here, I don't exist. I just don't exist. Like, he can pretend I don't exist. I would prefer that he pretends I do not exist because I don't want anything to do with him. So it's, I just tend to put walls up. Like I put a wall up with him, family, wall. So.
Yeah, and you know, it may not be the healthiest way to deal with certain situation, but I mean, relationships are so complicated that, yeah, it'll be nice if we can have a healthy discussion and come to some kind of resolution. But the truth is, most of the time, that's not the way it is, because people want what they want. And so, you know, like in your instance, Crystal, you know, your sister wanted to be able to just call you and rant and carry on, and she would probably, I don't understand, you're my sister, can I talk to you, can I tell you how I feel? And you're like, no, my ear's not a garbage bin that you
That
come
is the
dump
exact
everything.
conversation.
Right? But, you know, I call it self-preservation, right? That's how I preserve myself. And sometimes I just have to cut some people off. If we can't make have a healthy discussion, some adult, you know, come to some kind of a resolution, if nothing that I say, I can't reach you, why am I talking to you? It's just a waste of words and air and breath. And yeah, I mean, it's not healthy to be in a house with someone and, you know, can't speak to them. But sometimes, unfortunately, that's how you get your peace. That's how you get your sanity, like, you know.
I think that, I have a choice. I have a whole upstairs apartment that I could be in. But I choose to be down where the chaos is. I think I'm so used to that chaotic environment that I don't know how to have peace. I don't really know how. And I know that, I'm a very intelligent person. I am. And when I come here a lot of times, just the stress of at the home life level, it dumbs me down. It does. I'll be talking, I'll make no sense. I'll be walking into people's conversation, I'm like, oh my God, I just do that. Because I'm not mindful, like you were talking earlier, about being mindful about what you're actually doing in life. And your emotions will take over, your mind will start, and then your emotions will follow, and then the actions after the emotion. And that's where I'm finding myself a lot of times, the action after the emotion. So, I need to really make a choice to stay away from that and choose to not entertain the chaos downstairs, because I don't have to.
Yeah. And especially when you feel vulnerable. We all know when we're emotionally vulnerable. I know I'm emotionally vulnerable in the evening. I am not an evening person, and I get up at 4 o'clock. So when I get home at 8, in the evening, I tell them. Sometimes I don't even go into the common areas of my house when I go home. I head straight to my bedroom. And sometimes, like if my husband is not home, because I actually sleep in earplugs because my husband snores, and I need to get a good night's sleep. I do. He's not a fan. He brings me earplugs because I need that. That's another thing. You need a good night's sleep. People don't understand how important sleep is. You need a good night's sleep, and so. But usually I don't put in my earplugs until he gets in the house because I want to know that he's okay. If he calls me or somebody call me, I want to know. I don't want to, in the next morning, I hear something happened and I didn't know about it because I had earplugs in. So I'll wait until he comes in. But there are times I'm like, because I know if I don't put them in, I have to wake up sometime during the night. Well, I'm going to be awakened sometime during the night and I'm going to have to put them in. But I tell them the moment I walk in the house, I'm like, I'm going to bed. So
They
they
know
know.
that's your way of saying, leave me alone, not.
Right, right. And I mean, and they know now, you know, if you see me in my room, I'm resting. And we talked about, we did a whole class on boundaries not long ago, and we probably need to touch on that. One of the things is boundaries. When you have too many adults living in the same house, it's very easy to cross boundaries. Because the truth is, we were not designed to live like that. We are supposed to, when we get to a certain age, we should be on our own, with our own families. But of course, I mean, for one reason or the other, most people are not able to do that. But even if you have to live, you know, in a space with other adults, maybe, you know, your parents, you know, your adult brothers and sisters, grandparents, whatever, you still have to maintain that boundary. Because you live in the same space doesn't mean that everybody should be up in your business.
You call it enmeshed.
Enmeshed, yeah. It doesn't mean that, but because we're in the same space and, you know, we kind of know what's going on, everybody feel like it's okay to be in there. I remember, because, you know, my mom lives with me. My mom has been living with me since I was pregnant with my daughter. My daughter is 28.
Oh,
And I remember when I got married, she said something to my husband. You know, she told my husband something, and I had to tell her. I told her one time, stay out of my marriage. One time. I didn't have to have that conversation again, because all of us live in the same house. My marriage is not a topic of conversation. That is off limits. And people would try it. She tried it one time, and I cut it off.
She didn't take it the wrong way or nothing?
It doesn't matter.
sure.
It's my job to protect my marriage. I don't tell, if I'm upset with my husband, if I don't like what I don't never take it to her. Because that's a
That
boundary.
opens it back up.
Right,
conversation.
because if I take it to her, then I give her the right to talk
respond.
about
You
it.
have an
Right.
opinion.
Right, I give her the right. If I go to her and say, oh, my husband did so and so, then I'm inviting her into my relationship. So I don't.
So what do you do when your children
Hurry
come
up,
to you and like say stuff to you
Next,
about,
next.
what do you do about?
Okay, hold your
kids
question,
going,
hold your question, let's get to.
I'm so glad you said that, because me and my husband separated for a few years now. And the issue with boundaries is his father. Like, if I ask him to do something, it's a big issue. But if his father says do the same exact thing that I said, he'll do it. If we're having an issue, he'll go to his father. Like right now, we separated, he lives with his father. Like, his father is just a jerk. 95% of the time, he's a great grandfather most of the time, but he's a jerk when it comes to boundaries. He thinks that he can, if we having a disagreement and we're with him, he jumps in it. And I'm like, Dad, stay out of it. Here go his son. No, it's okay. It's not okay, because we are married. It's us. This is not a menage a trois. Like, it's two of us.
Gotta write that down.
I'm glad you said it. And this is part of the reason that I know for sure, because we thought that we could try to get back together, but his father is still in the marriage. So this weekend I told him I want a full divorce. We're legally separated. Now it's way easier to get like a divorce. It won't take that long. I told him I want a divorce. I can't do this. Because if I say, can you go downstairs and clean the basement out? No, I'm about to go watch the game. His father will come over and be like, yeah, that basement look a mess. What is all this stuff? Okay. I just asked you to do it. I'm your wife. I had your babies. We've been together for years and years and years. And I knew he was a daddy's boy in the beginning. Because, you know how you introduce you to your mother? He introduced you to his father first. And his father said, okay, you guys can be together. I'm like, don't tell me who I can be with. What if I don't want to be with him? Like, his father was his best man.
Is his mama around?
Yeah,
Is his mother
she's on
around?
my side. She told Tony, mind your bald-headed business.
Mhm.
Like, she always fussing with, you know what I'm saying, stay out of it. That's why they not really together now. Like, you messing things up. And his marriage didn't work. And he like, I don't want to be like my father. Okay, but you're doing it. So I'm like, you know what?
And maybe he had that relationship, obviously they had that relationship before you came along, but the thing when you get married, you have to, like the Bible says, you gotta leave and cleave. You know, I remember when my husband and I got married, I wouldn't call my husband a mama's boy, but he was very close to his mom. Cause my husband is, I mean, a nice person, just a naturally nice person. He is the kid that just makes it easy for his dad, his mom. Anything she asks him to do, he'll do. So, as a parent, if you're a parent and you have more than one kid, you know that there's one kid that makes it easy for you, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the kid for my mother-in-law. And so, you know, you know, they had a really good relationship. Well, before my husband and I got married, he would take her to Sam's Club every Sunday. That's it. Every Sunday they go to Sam's Club. And she was stacking up on toilet paper, paper towel. Now you don't need to go to Sam's Club every week, but that's just,
Yeah.
that was their outing every Sunday. Well, after we got married, she still wanted to go to Sam's Club every Sunday. So he had to just nicely tell her that I'm married now, and then you know she lived in D.C. We live in Glen Burnie. So if he go take her to Sam's Club, that's an all-day affair. But no rudeness. He just had to politely tell her that now that I'm married, I can't do it. I can take you sometimes, but I can't take you every week.
That's
Nicely.
reasonable.
Yeah, nicely. And the thing is that she had 6 other kids, and they all lived close. In fact, there was one that lived in the house with her.
Wow.
Oh, wow. And they were just sitting back waiting for him to pick her up on Sunday and take her to Sam's Club. And not
Right.
trying to offer.
Right, because he'll do it. But once,
It was a break for them.
yeah, but no argument, no rudeness or anything. But just politely, things are different now. And I think one of the things with us as people is we have difficulty having difficult conversations. Things that, can make people upset, we don't want to have that conversation. So instead we start arguing, we start getting mad, we start telling other people, then telling,
I have an example that I always like to share in this situation about the in-laws. When my daughter has been married for 10 years, 11 years, and soon after they were married, she was calling me, asking me advice. And I said, Jackie, this is not a conversation you should be having with me any longer. You should be having this kind of conversation with Louis. She said, okay. Next time she did it again, I said the same thing. The third time she did it again, and I said the same thing. And she got a little huffy with me. She said, since when do you not have an opinion that you want to share. And she's right. I always did offer my advice when it was just her. But I said, Jackie, if for no other reason, no man worth his salt wants to hear these words coming out of his
Right.
wife, and that is, my mother said. And never again did she ask me that. I said, if you and Louis want to ask me, I am. Got all kinds of an opinion to share, but you have done the leaving and the cleaving. And that's why God designed this relationship in the best way it would work. And that is, no longer am I involved. It's you and
It's you
Louis.
and your, yeah. And that again was a courageous conversation, because it would have been the easy thing to just go ahead and give her advice and all that. But she had to be courageous and say, no, you're a married woman now, and this is not a conversation you should be having with me. This is a conversation you should be having with your husband. A lot of it is just not being courageous enough, because it's not an easy conversation to have.
See, I kind of fall in between, but I'm glad both of you them shared the story, because with her sharing that story, I'm that mother-in-law. Well, actually, Kristen's not married yet, but I'm the one that kind of.
Stick your nose into things.
Well, Frank does something with my daughter and I ain't like it. I'm banging on the door. Why you touching my daughter? Why? I'm like that. And then at the same time, Kristen will come to me and say, Mom, you know, Frank threw my glasses and hit the wall. That kind of thing. She'll share that with me. I can't shut her down and say, don't share that with me. Because I need to be there to hear her, and I need to know if my child is in danger.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? But at the same time, if they're arguing in front of me, I put my 2 cents in, and where I
Stay
shouldn't.
out of it. You gotta stay
It's
out of it.
hard when he
I
calls
also
her.
I left my father-in-law.
If he calls her a
in
name
Pennsylvania.
though,
Like, we was on a family trip. He's jumping into things, and I pulled off on him. Yeah,
did you
we
really
went to
leave
go
him
to
and
the
don't go
gas
back? You
station.
didn't go back to get him?
Oh, eventually I turned around,
Yeah.
but like 25 minutes later, I was on 83. Like, that's how bad, like, you have to stay out of it, because it will break marriages up. Like, I never wanted my marriage to break up, even though he was being, had infidelities, but I can handle that, you know what I mean? But I can't handle,
You can handle infidelities?
yes,
And why is that?
I mean, I can handle the aftermath, I can handle, you made a mistake, move on. You made a mistake, it's okay, I cannot handle,
But you say infidelities.
yeah.
So how is it a mistake if he's having infidelities?
Like, when I say infidelities, I'm like the same person for a while. Back and forth, that's what
So that's an affair,
yeah.
an
okay.
ongoing affair, and you're okay with that?
And I'm not okay with it, but when we tried this time, I forgave him and I moved on. I'm cool with that, I'm a strong woman, I can deal with that. But I can't deal with his father being in our marriage, like, all the time. When I ask him to do something, he never do it. When his father asks him to do it, he does it, just like that.
But
And I'm
it's,
not
it's
tired of him.
interesting that you can cope with a stranger, really,
Yeah,
but you can cope with his dad. That's interesting.
I know, right? It's kind of, it's kind of backwards to me.
It seemed like he's running away from you because you're strong.
Yeah, I'm a strong woman, like I.
Maybe he's
some stuff
afraid
I
of
won't
that
tolerate.
strength though, you know what I mean?
With
Shut up
stranger,
and
you don't really have any
Yeah, with a stranger, you don't.
contact.
don't
You,
have no
she's
contact.
like away. She's not in your face
Yeah,
or
she's not
whatever.
in my
But the
face, I
father is
don't
like
really know
there, like
It is
physically,
what it is.
like in your
Okay.
face. Yeah.
That's not an excuse. I'm just saying, I can deal with that, it is what it is. Because
Right.
everybody make a mistake, nobody's not perfect. But I can't deal with the him jumping into like,
No,
like,
he's
I'm
doing
talking-
wrong.
Yeah, like, one Christmas, this man, I got home from work, this man had decorated my Christmas tree.
Oh,
The
Your
father-in-law.
father-in-law.
I mean,
oh my goodness.
and I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, you got off late, so we decided. Who is we? Like, you're and every
he
house
took
we
that
lived
from
in,
you.
His father lived 3 minutes away. They always live around each other. Like, he live right here, we live right here. You live over across the street, we live
Okay,
right here.
okay, hold on. So we talk about tolerance, right? We talk
Yeah.
about tolerance.
Yeah.
Some people would be happy that they put up the tree, you know, and you don't have to do it,
I was like,
right?
I'll be
But
happy.
decorating a
True,
church, do
I
that
like
kids in-
decorating tree. True, he can come and decorate my tree.
That's what you wanna do with your kids though. No,
Can you
All
come
right.
down too?
All right, let's get Karen, because we need to wrap up soon, so let's get Karen. We were talking about, what were we talking about?
I
forgot the question. What it is that you do that you have a negative behavior, and how can you change it to more positive?
All I have is anger right now.
All you have is anger, and what are you angry about?
Family.
Family, okay,
Not basically family, my granddaughter's family.
right, okay, okay. And we talked about that before, and yours is it's a difficult situation, and it can make anybody angry, but,
But how can, what I'm saying is, I got this going on over there, but I'm angry, but, because I have to keep my mouth shut.
mhm,
Because if I don't keep my mouth shut, it might backfire in court,
right.
and I might end up in jail.
Yeah, stop saying that. But remember, I said earlier, you always have to replace your bad behavior with a good behavior. You always have to replace a negative behavior with a positive behavior.
Well, the only way I
So-
can replace my positive is with when I get my granddaughter.
Yeah, but what if that situation doesn't change? Because you know
You
sometimes
know, you
sometimes-
don't want to know my answer, because
no, but for real, you can go to court and the judge can say, I'm sorry, mom, but I'm going to award this child to the parent. Are you going to be angry for the rest of your life?
I just don't want to know my answer. You can put me in a padded room.
You know, the thing is that it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it.
Yeah.
It's how you react to it. No, it's terrible. It's a terrible situation. But if you,
If the court comes back and tells me something that I don't want to hear, I'm gonna have to get nasty.
and how is that
they
gonna
don't want
help?
me to go and get nasty,
And how is that gonna help you get nasty?
because it's gonna get my granddaughter to where she needs to be.
How is
Not
it
with
gonna
you if
get,
you're in jail.
Huh?
how is it gonna get her, if you act nasty, how is it gonna get your granddaughter
I'm
where she
trying to
needs
be, I'm trying to be polite and
Mhm,
be nice about this,
mhm.
but if the judge goes back and tells me that this isn't gonna happen, this isn't gonna happen, I'm gonna have to go back and get nasty and tell all the secrets. And they don't want me to do that.
Tell all the secrets.
Yes, all the secrets that's going on down there, that shouldn't be going on down there.
Well, I mean, if your daughter is being,
My granddaughter.
if your granddaughter is being abused or neglected, you shouldn't wait for that. You should, and neglected doesn't mean necessarily, abused or neglected doesn't necessarily mean being hit, being touched. If she's witnessing anything, if she's witnessing people fighting, if she's witnessing people doing drugs, okay, that is child abuse.
Medical neglect, she not going to the doctors.
That's number 3.
Okay, so, but the thing is that if you have that information, you can make an anonymous call to CPS, because if you do it after the judge makes a ruling, that's gonna be like, oh, she's just making this up as revenge.
Hold on, Mr.
So you wanna be on the offensive, not on the defensive, because that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna be on the defensive. It's gonna be like, oh, she's just doing this for revenge because.
Okay, 2 out of 3, someone, an ex-CPS worker has told me that they'll just ask the family to go to family counseling.
Huh? That is not true. If she is in any immediate danger, where she is exposed to people fighting and she can end up getting hurt, if she's in a situation where people are using drugs in front of her and they're strung out, all that comes under child abuse and they would remove her. They're not gonna just say, oh, go to family court, family counseling. That's gonna be part of the process for reunification. But if she's actually in a situation where she's exposed to these
I
things.
was told if she's not in
Let me
immediate
tell you
danger,
what
they
actually
will-
did happen, let me tell you what actually
Well,
happened.
well, first of all,
I'm gonna tell her what.
first of all, when it comes to that, it's not your job to figure out what's gonna happen. Your job is to report it. That's the only thing you need to do. That's the only thing you do. They would investigate, and when whatever they find out in their investigation, then they'll act accordingly.
I have a family
The
member
first thing they're
that
gonna
filed an
do-
ex parte on behalf of the minor child.
Hmm?
I have a family member that filed an ex parte order on behalf of a minor child.
Mhm.
And they got them minor children for 1 year, and that gave the parents or whoever the child was with, the opportunity to prove that they are fit parents. But you have to have enough to put the ex parte, like they're drinking, like you said, they're doing drugs, they're this, in order to get like a year custody of kids.
Yeah, I mean,
So
a lot
that's
of
what
it
they
depends,
have
I mean,
on
not,
minor child.
most of that depend on the parent. If the parent is doing things, because believe it or not, the state is not interested in taking people's kids away.
No, they're not.
They're not.
That's interesting.
They're not.
I know.
But the reason why some people end up losing their kids because they don't make any efforts to do what they're supposed to do to be reunited with their kids.
What the court asks them to do, parenting classes.
Yeah, but they don't do it. Or
If they don't do it, then they do
Or they
something.
keep using drugs, or they just don't do anything to thing. But you, my dear,
And this is the way I am, the way I am, because I worry about her choices.
and you are in a very difficult situation. But I want you to start thinking of the worst scenario, and work your way back from there. And what would be the worst scenario?
That she ended up in ICU again,
That the child get hurt.
Why was she in ICU before?
because she had really bad asthma. And the situation she's in right now is just gonna bring something on, and I just hope it don't.
Oh, you mean the cleanliness and like the
Yeah,
air quality,
exactly,
et cetera?
Exactly.
So there's any way that you can get something donated to help her, like an air purifier? That would make you feel better about her
No,
quality of air
because
for
they
now?
need to clean that house.
Oh, it's just dirty.
I went to pick her up Friday, she had a flea on her head, she was only in that house 3 minutes. But I was sitting there at the bus stop, at her house, waiting for her to get off that bus. And she was in the house for 3 minutes, and she had a flea on her face. You know how angry I was and upset? I didn't want to bring her back, and she cries when she's going.
Have you ever made a CPS report?
Nope.
Why
She
not?
cries when she has to go home?
Why haven't you made a CPS
Because I
report?
just found this out, and I don't know what,
And you can do it anonymous, you don't have to give your name.
But then they'll take her from the home and she'll go, she won't. know
No,
where
no,
she is.
no.
No,
See,
my-
that's another misconception. The state does not have places lined up for these kids. The first thing they do when they take a child, they look for a family member that can take the child. That's the first thing the state does.
and she'll say grandmom, and then she'll call me.
They look for a family member. They don't have places for these
See,
kids.
I thought that.
See, there's a lot of
I thought that.
misconceptions about that. They don't automatically take them to a stranger's house because there's not enough strangers to taking these kids. The first thing they do, plus they want the kids to be
With family.
in a friendly environment. So if the parent is not fit, then they look for a family member that can take that child. If they can't find any family member, that's when they look to a stranger, a foster parent.
Right.
And what I'm doing is he had to the 13th of this month to reply to the court date. Reply to the court, because I took him to court for visitation. Well, he has 30 days to reply
Your son?
to it. Huh?
Your son or daughter?
My son, my daughter's, my granddaughter's boyfriend,
Just your daughter.
or ex-boyfriend, whatever. But now now, after the 13th, there's 8 days till the judge has to give me a court date. So it could
Okay.
be any day.
Nice.
I'm sorry, what's your name again, Miss?
Cheryl,
Miss Sharp, see, that's what I'm saying, right? My son acting up at school, right?
right,
So they called me. I
uh-huh,
was the last person because I was in class. So his father, I told his father, you gonna have to go up there, so I got stuff to do today. He said no. I called his father and said, this, and that, you are on his way up here.
you call the grandfather?
Yeah,
And the grandfather,
call him.
okay,
You see what I'm saying?
Well, at
yeah.
least you got somebody to go through to get what you need
If I
done.
should
Yeah.
have to.
At least he
shouldn't.
listens to somebody.
He still call his daddy.
But it's his daddy, I call my mom mommy,
Yeah, of course, that's your mom. That's your mom.
but that's his dad.
But,
This man has 2 other children. You would not even know it. Okay? It's him and them in their word. They said that it's just.
you hadn't been strong to go through all that mess. Deal with 2 people.
You're a strong woman, honey.
You deal with 2 people.
All right. So, do you guys want to do a more in-depth boundaries next week?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think,
Nobody made.
Huh?
uh,
Yeah?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, boundaries is always a big one. Yeah.
yeah.
Are you coming to the thing later?
Miss
What
Karen?
is this? These are our files.
If you think that your granddaughter is
videos.
in
Last time I tried to
any,
make up videos, like
In
my
a
house was on,
situation-
no one could get the videos going for me.
Wait on your updated application.
I already gave it to you.
I was talking to her about making a
I
video.
gave it in
but
my
I
box,
wasn't here for like a
yeah.
month.
Right.
There's my name right there. You
Oh.
wanna keep my application with
Nobody
all
made coffee.
But the last time I tried,
One in
everything,
there.
like
Thank
there was,
you.
I guess too much stuff going on everywhere. So
Not much
no one was able
information,
to
just
put
the
the
basics.
video up on
Okay.
videos. So I didn't do it for me.
Okay. Yeah, but if
Thank
you think
you.
that your granddaughter is being abused or neglected, you need to
That
make
signage
an anonymous
Yeah.
call to
is
CPS.
If you don't, you'll probably
Sure,
regret
just
it.
gonna go by and have someone get jumped out the window.
Where's fire sale?
What happened?
She said she's
Yeah.
Miss Sharon's gonna go do a drive-by, Munchkin's gonna jump out her bedroom window with the pillows right there. Already got this plan with the granddaughter. She's gonna jump on the pillows and then we're gonna do a drive-by and go. And I
There's an easier way.
I got one way ticket to
There's
Canada.
an easier way.
One way ticket to Canada.
I'm trying to talk to you.
There's an easier way than that.
Thank you, Miss Sharon.
You're welcome, sweetie.
You got any time yet for a personal,
Huh?
you got any time yet for a personal counseling session?
Nobody made him
I know, I wanna
No, I guess not. Sure, I'll have to talk to
Hello?
you. It is, I see.
Miss Lisa, can I